Sometimes, it's the calls you never expect that leave you shaken to the core. A father in Alaska listened to a voicemail from his ex-partner only to hear the unimaginable, "We don't have a son no more." What came next was even darker, a revelation that no one could prepare for. In today's story, we unravel the haunting details of this tragic case, a story that has shocked communities and shattered lives. Before we dive into the heart-wrenching details, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to stay updated on stories that uncover the hidden and heartbreaking moments, and leave a comment on how you feel about this story. Now, let's dive in. Robert Gagner never expected that his life would change with a simple voicemail. On October 13th, he received not one but 3 voicemails from Cedar Sarton, his ex-partner and the mother of his 5-year-old son, Bodhi. The words she left him would haunt him forever. "Please don't freak out. We don't have a son no more." Those words, devoid of emotion, signaled the start of a nightmare he could have never foreseen. As Cedar's words sank in, Robert's mind raced. This wasn't a simple message, it was an alert, a dark omen. Cedar's voice trembled, barely containing something beyond grief. "Robert, this is really bad. You seriously need to come over here right now," she said in a later message, each word soaked with a haunting urgency. Robert knew something was terribly wrong, but he couldn't have imagined the horrific reality that awaited him. The Fairbanks Police Department arrived at Cedar's residence shortly after Robert's panic calls. The officers could not have prepared themselves for the scene they were about to walk into. Public Information Officer Teal Soden later described it as one of the most chilling scenes his team had ever witnessed. According to reports, Cedar had used a 20-pound kettle to beat young Bodhi, and in a horrifying turn, had allegedly mutilated her son's body with a knife. Cedar had called 911 after the attack, delivering a twisted report to the dispatcher. So in a detached voice, she claimed someone had crashed her son's brain with a weight, making no attempt to explain further. Her words were disturbingly void of sorrow or regret. The dispatcher pressed her for details, asking her to clarify what had happened. Caesar's response was almost robotic. She stated she didn't know, adding that the last time she'd seen Bodhi alive was when he had fallen asleep in her arms hours earlier, sometime around 1 or 2 a.m. An autopsy later confirmed the unimaginable. Bodhi's death was attributed to significant blunt force trauma to his head and brain. But that wasn't all. The 5-year-old's body bore multiple wounds, including a stab wound to his chest, injuries so brutal that they defied comprehension. How could a mother, someone meant to protect her child, inflict such violence? As more information emerged, a dark history began to unravel. Cedar was no stranger to violence. Her records showed that she had a lengthy criminal past, including over 20 arrests for offenses ranging from theft to assault. Just last year, she had been convicted of reckless endangerment involving Bodhi himself. When Bodhi was just 16 months old, Cedar had twisted his head in a moment of rage, causing physical harm to her infant son. Despite this violent history, custody arrangements allowed Cedar to spend time with Bodhi, a fact that left many questioning the systems meant to protect vulnerable children. But it wasn't just a history of violence that led to this tragic day. In the days leading up to Bodhi's death, Robert noticed that Cedar had been acting strangely. He dropped off Bodhi at Cedar's home that fateful evening, in line with their custody agreement. But as he did, a nagging feeling gnawed at him. Cedar seemed off, her behavior detached and erratic. Concerned but not suspecting the horror to come, Robert left, hoping that his son would be safe until he returned. So then, Cedar's calls came, each message colder than the last. In the final voicemail, she offered no apology, no admission of remorse. It was as if she had mentally detached herself from the event entirely. As she left the third message, she said, "I called you, okay? I knew something was wrong. I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying." Her words seemed more focused on deflecting guilt than expressing any sorrow for the loss of her child. It was a response so devoid of humanity that it left Robert speechless, frozen in disbelief. After the tragic event, Cedar was hospitalized under police observation. Reports indicated she had attempted to take her own life following the incident. While she remained in the hospital, the world learned of her brutal crime, and outrage grew. People wanted justice for Bodhi, a young boy whose life was cut short in the most horrific of ways. Bodhi's obituary painted a heartbreaking picture of the life he had before it was cruelly stolen from him. He was described as a sweet, talkative, and kind-hearted child, a boy whose smile could light up any room. He loved playing outside, collecting rocks by the water, camping with his father, and sharing his love for dinosaurs with anyone who would listen. Friends and family remembered his infectious laughter and generous spirit. Bodhi had a whole world ahead of him, dreams of running through fields, laughing with friends, and growing up under his father's watchful and loving care. In the days following his death, tributes poured in from family, friends, and strangers alike, all mourning a life taken too soon. Bodhi's father and siblings grappled with a loss so deep it seemed incomprehensible. How could one make sense of a tragedy this profound? How could a parent understand the loss of a child, especially under such shocking and violent circumstances? But as the investigation continued, the spotlight remained on Cedar's troubled past and the legal system's failure to protect Bodhi from a mother with a history of violence. With more than 24 arrests over the years, Cedar's record included not only assaults and reckless endangerment, but also felony theft and criminal mischief. The question that echoed across social media and news outlets was simple. Why was a woman with such a violent history allowed unsupervised time with her child? Robert was left to grapple not only with grief, but with the agonizing knowledge that Bodhi might still be alive had the system acted differently. His heartbreak, though unimaginable, was compounded by an overwhelming sense of helplessness. When in a final statement he spoke of his son's boundless energy and joy, remembering Bodhi as a child who was always eager to make friends and spread joy. But he shared that Bodhi had a favorite playground, a spot by the water where he would run and laugh and collect rocks to bring home. Now those rocks sat on shelves, silent reminders of a child who would never get to grow up. In a world where justice is often delayed, Robert hoped for swift action. Cedar remained hospitalized, but authorities were preparing to arrest her once she was released. Public Information Officer Teal Soden expressed a sense of urgency, voicing what so many felt. We're hoping this week that she'll actually be arrested. But for Robert, no arrest or sentence could bring back his son, no punishment could replace the future stolen from Bodhi. And if this story broke your heart, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe for more in-depth stories, and share your thoughts in the comments. Cases like Bodhi show how important it is for us to protect the most vulnerable in our communities. Share this video to raise awareness, and let's ensure that tragedies like this are never forgotten. In Bodhi's memory, Robert vowed to do everything in his power to bring attention to children's rights and the gaps in the system that allowed his son's life to be put in harm's way. He hoped that his son's story would inspire people to take action, to push for laws that would protect children from abusive situations. Though Bodhi's life was cut short, his memory could help prevent other families from enduring the same pain. Bodhi's story is one of both unimaginable tragedy and an urgent call to action. It's a reminder that while we may not be able to change the past, we can fight to protect the future. For those who knew him, Bodhi will forever be remembered for his love of dinosaurs, his love for exploring the outdoors, and the laughter that echoed whenever he played by the water. In his short life, he left an impact on all who knew him, a reminder of innocence, of joy, and of the incredible resilience of a child's heart. But now, his story serves as a painful reminder of the importance of vigilance, of holding those in power accountable to protect children like Bodhi. As the days move forward, Robert and those who loved Bodhi are left with a mission to ensure that his death will not be in vain, that Bodhi's memory will inspire change, and that his light will continue to shine in the hearts of those who fight for justice. In the end, Bodhi's spirit lives on, a beacon of innocence in a world that sometimes falls short. And for Robert, his son will forever be the boy with the big smile, the boy who loved dinosaurs and cheese pizza, the boy who could turn strangers into friends with a single laugh. Through this heartbreaking tragedy, Bodhi's memory will live on, a powerful reminder that we must all do more to protect those who cannot protect themselves.